Alrighty, welcome back to the Super Astute build. So, up to step 15. Now, assembling the slipper clutch. Now, it says here, affixed temporarily in place using CA cement. Cyanoacrylate. Cyanoacrylate. Jesus. Super glue. I don't know what they mean by temporarily, because usually when something goes together with super glue, it's there to stay for the most part, isn't it? Depends how much heat goes through this spur gear, I guess. That'll make it come loose. So we're going to start right there with these MB18 parts. What are they calling? A slipper sheet. So there must be some kind of fiber. No, they're flexible. Must be some kind of fiber, rubber, reinforced, I should say, material, which the slipper plates actually slip against. So we'll do what they say. Let's get our super glue, and I'm just putting a tiny dab. We'll go one there, and just make sure you line it up properly before this glue starts going off. It's proving more difficult than it looks. So that's that one. I recommend you wash your hands before this step, because you really don't want any grease on these clutch parts. I say as I'm rubbing my hand on a greasy rag. And the other side. It just doesn't want to stay there. I don't know if my super glue's gone off or what, but it doesn't seem to want to stick stuff lately. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, we have that done. Now we're going to start assembling our shaft. We have a big E-clip here that we can install straight away, I think. Oh yeah, that very positive click there, wasn't it? Now it's telling us to do this first, and the arrow indicates do this next. We have that disc like this, and then I wonder if this spur gear is out of another kit. It could very well be, or out of the same kit. I believe this kit didn't originally have a slipper clutch. I'm only saying this because this gear has a slot for a drive pin on one side and not the other. It's showing here that the side without the slot. This also has holes in it, which leads me to believe it could have been a spur gear for a ball tip, or ball clutch. Anyway, we'll put it together how they're saying. And the other side, and you can see how this works quite easily. These two aluminium plates, once they're all screwed together with the nut, puts pressure on that spur gear. The more pressure you give, the tighter that spur gear is going to get, and the more positive drive you're going to get out of that spur gear. Looks basically exactly the same as the clutch in your motor car. It's a friction clutch. So I've actually put the box wrench away. Can you grab it out of the box, please? So this spring is a very hard spring, but when it's all sitting how it wants before you put the nut on, the thread of that shaft is actually level with the top of that aluminium piece there. So you've got to actually line everything up and apply pressure to get that started, and this is going to be tricky. And I think, yeah, no, we got it. Well, so you're going to need a little bit of strength and control to be able to put pressure on that spring and to get that thread started. So be very careful with that, because I reckon you'd strip that quite easily. Just trying to get it started. So it says here to fully tighten, then loosen by 2 3/4 turns. Okay, so fully tighten. You can have that. I'll use this one. No, I'll use this one. Fully tighten. Right up. Alright, that's tight. And I think you can actually see the spring is bound completely up. There's just a tiny bit of gap in that spring, so not completely, but close enough to. Now, can I have that box wrench back again, please? So yeah, trying to turn that spur gear, it is locked with those friction plates. So this spur gear, thanks mate. This spur gear will be handy to count our 2 3/4 turns. So if you just take note of which way your spur gear is facing, so that will be half a turn. That is 1 turn, 1.5, 2 turns, 2.5, and it said 2 3/4, so that's another quarter of a turn. There we go. So that should be 2 3/4 turns. And now I can move that spur gear. Still feels pretty tight to me, but I've got very little experience with slipper clutches. Not really to date, as it were, with the amount of tension required. And we just have this H2 gear on the other side there. Lovely. A lot of firsts in this build for me. That's not true. I have built a slip clutch before, but not very often. The Tamiya high lip models have a slipper clutch in them. Okay. Part A3, which is that, which is oh, that's off center. Kind of eccentric. We have an 850 bearing, another lovely E-clip, and this H3, which is a plastic stepped bush. You're not going to be able to see that, but on this side of it is a step. So keep an eye on that as to which way it goes. Yeah, it does say no direction, so by this it's saying that step goes in. So we want our differential facing this way. Our spur gear can go through if it wants to, if it doesn't. I'll just check for any burrs on that gear, on that shaft. Feels okay. There we go. Needed a little persuasion. And we have this A3, which is, it says align. So we've got a notch in our A3 part here and a spigot in our housing. That just gets pushed in there, I guess. And we have another 850 bearing to keep everything nice and tight and lined up. And yes, oh, that feels so nice. So nice. I mean, there's only a couple of gears meshing, but yeah, that feels good. Okay, this H3 part, and put your step to the inside and an E-clip. I'm going to call it a medium size E-clip for this kit. There we go with that. Lovely. I know there's no resistance anywhere yet, but that does feel nice and smooth. That is everything done. I didn't grease that gear because we already greased that gear. So I'm not going to grease spur gear until everything's in and we're ready to install that Lexan cover, the polycarbonate cover. So we have our chassis back. That sits in there nice and neat. And yes, you can remove that window there to remove your rear differential for any kind of maintenance you want to do. It's a great idea. So we have these two standoffs here, mounts, with the two countersunk machine screws. And again, it's not telling you to thread lock them, so we're not going to thread lock them. And the third one, we have this countersunk self-tapping screw. And I've got to say, so far, this is a very enjoyable kit to build. Everything is just going together so nicely. So, gearbox assembled and installed, and that is the end of bag B. So, we're up to bag C and step 18. We'll probably get these two done in this video, and then we'll call it quits. So, how chassis subsection, Jesus Christ, chassis subsection. Every horse with your destiny name. Shit, what are we doing? All right, so that's this piece here. Now these two body mounts, I'm guessing they're body mounts. They're telling you to install the through holes in a particular way. So let's get them in there first, and it's only telling you to thread lock these two screws for the ball ends, which go through this bulkhead piece here. So I'm still learning this new camera angle, so bear with me. Yeah. Oh, what do we want? A couple of 3x6s. So yes, it does matter which way this goes. Okay, so we bore 8 holes in this plate, but only 2 holes are countersunk, and nothing is countersunk on the other side. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. The countersunk holes go to the bottom. 1 3x6 there with body mount. Remember, we have to position them correctly in a minute. I'll show you how I think I'm going to do that. Well, I'll show you how I'm going to try to do it, and whether it works or not is another thing. Get them eggs ready, Cheryl. Might end up having some on my face. Alright, so we'll give these a nip up just with the screwdriver for now. And then with our box wrench, so you can see, can you? Yeah, kind of. Can you see that? So, yeah, we want the holes in these body mounts facing, probably, that looks around about 45 degrees to me. 90 degrees, sorry. Yeah, twice that. So, to get these turned in the direction we want, just put your box wrench on and turn it as if you're tightening it up. Imagine if you go the opposite way, you're probably just going to loosen up the thread, aren't you? And that other side looks pretty bloody close, actually. I don't know how exact these things have to be, but that looks pretty close to me. So we'll put this aside for a sec, and we have these tiny little, whatever you want to call them, spacers maybe? Does that matter which way they have to go? So this goes this way. What are these? 3x20s, which will be these ones. I can pick them up. 3x20 and a spacer. Very strange why that spacer is shaped like that. There must be a reason. That tab doesn't catch on anything. I don't know. Okay, and then a ball nut. Then we can tighten these up and see where the tab on that spacer is going to land. Kind of like that. All that ball nut wants to do is spread that spacer out. I'm just double checking here because it really doesn't make sense to me. But, well, there they are right there. No, it's what Mr. Tamiya says. It's what we do. Just another ball nut. And then we can mount this bulkhead piece to that reinforced fiber piece. So just like this. Now, if you do it so that you are screwing, like putting tension on with the screw and not the nut, that plastic piece should not turn on you. So that should be that section done. Now, oh no, sorry, we've got to put that on there, don't we? So that just goes there like that. And we have two countersunk self-tapping screws. No, we don't. Two MA7s. Sorry. Jesus, mate, you're slipping up a bit. All right, so now that's that section complete. Yeah. So now this part of the bulkhead, it just gets attached to that part of the bulkhead with 4 3x10 machine screws and four more of these jam nuts, and the sponge sheet is under there, which gets mounted to the top of there. Oh, okay, I see what that's for. So that'll be the top of where your battery pack sits in. So we're going to have to sit that, once it's all together, we'll sit it on the chassis to decide exactly where that sponge sheet has to go, in case we get in the wrong spot and something binds up. So I'm just going to do these jam nuts one at a time, obviously leaving them loose until they're all in. And once this is done, we can attach it to our chassis. Again, you're just going to have to feel for when those jam nuts want to stop. We'll give that a go for now. Should be fine. So where is our chassis? Our chassis. I really don't care which way you say it. I say it both ways myself sometimes. So, I mean, not at the same time. That'd be silly. So this sits on this way. We've got two holes here that screw down into those alloy bits. Then we have these two screws that go into the plastic. And I reckon that foam strip needs to go as close to that edge as possible and in the center. So let's do that. And this is actually, I'm going to trim that. Which way are we going? That way. It's pretty close to center. I'm actually going to trim that up because it's sitting over the top edge of that. And it's making this piece not sit very level. So there wasn't much sticking up. So, oops, wrong way. Let's go around that way. So we need, what do we need? Oh, we're actually in step 19 now. So we need two 3x10s, and again, no thread lock. Nope. We'll start off with those two, and again, two 3x10s up the front, but these are self-tapping. After this, we can put our out drives in, and that'll be the end of step 19, and as well as the end of this video. So that, now we need our out drives, and I have a axle dog bone so that I can push these O-rings if it wants to go in, which it doesn't. Once again, I've got grease all over my tweezers. Sometimes these O-rings just don't want to go. There we go, there's one. If you don't get them spot on straight first time, you just don't want to go in. Right, that back. So there's our O-rings. Now, yes, I might just throw a bit of grease on this pin, and that's fine. I usually put it in the hole first, but now it's saying to put the pin out drive in this side, which I really don't think it's going to matter. Might as well grease up this one too, even though there's running bearings in there. But I know you can't see, but that pin is actually sticking out to the other side. So There are our dog bones in, and everything's still spinning up nice and freely. And that is the end of step 19 and the end of this video. So we're getting there. We're about halfway, I reckon. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Have a great day. See you in step 20.